Hey everyone, welcome back. Just thought I'd make a quick video showing my camping setup in my DR650. Now bear in mind it is winter, well the end of winter, so it is going to be below freezing at night. So this is the gear I take. On top I've got my good old trusty Coleman Tatra 3 tent. I've had this tent for about 3 years now maybe, and I shipped over from the UK when I came over to New Zealand. I paid about 200 British pounds for it, and it's been a great tent. I'll get this pitched up and I'll show you inside it. Right folks, that's my tent setup. As you can see, I'll give you a wee walk around. This is the Coleman Tatra 3. It is a 3-man tent. It fits both of us and all our bike gear in there comfortably. It's really good size for 2 people on a motorcycle. It's a bit big for me on my own, but for 2 people it's just right. It's a semi-geodesic design, which means it handles the wind very well. As you can see, the poles crisscross. There's 3 poles on this. They all crisscross from each other and it's very stable in the wind. It weighs about 3.5 kilograms, so it's quite heavy and it doesn't pack too small. I use this blue ground sheet here. This is just a tarp. It's a pitch all-in-one setup, so this came as I pitched it there. The inside's already built inside. So this is the inside of the tent. It's got pockets either side. It doesn't have anything on the roof to store any gear, but that's never been an issue. That ground sheet's just a cheap tarp I bought from Warehouse. I think it was like $5. I can't remember exactly the size, could be 8 foot by 6 or 10 by 6, I can't quite remember. But the main reason was, if it's been raining at night, or if you wake up in the morning and it's cold, there's a lot of dew on the tent, I will pull this inside pit off, put this inside my panniers. That means the bottom's completely dry because it's been on the tarp. I can pack this away in my pannier, the inside's dry. I then take down the outside, roll it up with the tarp and just pack that in the tent as normal, strap it on top. When I go to set the tent up at night, it's obviously soaking wet, so I pitch the outside first, let it dry for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and then I put the inside in it, and the inside's completely dry. That's the reason I do this. If you pack it all as one, when it's wet, the inside is soaking and the inside does take a while to dry, so I no longer do that. But you've got the option to do that. It's quite good. It's quite versatile tent. As you can see in there, there's heaps of space in there. We can get 2 people plus all our bike gear down the sides. It's ideal for motorcycle camping. This is the porch area. It's not massive. See, I can't obviously stand up on it, but I can crouch in here. Another good thing about this tarp is it gives me something to kneel on when I'm getting out of the tent. You can cook in here if you need to. It's got doors either side, so depending on which way the wind's blowing, you've got options. It's really a versatile tent. I am looking at changing this tent this year, just for when I'm camping on my own. It's just a bit big for what I need. But for 2-up camping on a motorcycle, I don't think you can get better than this tent. So obviously I've got my Moscow Moto panniers. These are the backcountry 35s. I'll link above my fitment video of these on my old GS. These have been great. I'm going to do a full 1-year review on these fairly shortly. On the right hand side I carry my sleeping gear. In the front here, this is the Mole 4 litre pouch. I've got 2 1.5 litre bottles of water in here. This is what I always have on this side. Or what I do now, I change it up slightly every now and again, but this is what I'm going with at the moment. So this is my Alpkit Numo sleeping pad. We've been using these for maybe 2 years now. Alpkit's the company, it's a UK based company. This is a Numo pad. I think it was around about £40. Great thing about this, it's packed so small. We used to use the self-inflating foam mats, but I mean they packed about the size of this bloody tent. Good thing about this, It's so small. It does take a bit of effort to blow up, but when you blow up, I think it's about 7 centimetres thick. So I can sleep on my side comfortably and not touch the ground. It's really good. The only thing, you do sometimes get a bit of cold come up from underneath. I don't think it's obviously not insulated, but for £40, you can't really go wrong. I'll link this in the description. So that's this blown up. It's a full-size mat. You do get a bit dizzy after you blow it up. It's quite hard work, but it's great. Now that'll be fine tonight to sleep on. Before I get in bed, I'll just pump a couple more breaths in there to keep it up, but we'll be fine at that. It comes with a puncture repair kit, which I've never had to use. Like I said, for 40 odd quid, you can't argue that. I think it weighs about 300-400 grams, so it's just excellent. Next up is my Kathmandu air pillow. Now I'm a bit funny with pillows. I do like a good pillow. I was using just cheap blow-up pillows that I got from Tesco's back home, and they were like a couple of £1 each, and I used to buy them 5 or 6 at a time, maybe get a couple of camps out of them, and they'd be f***ed. When I came on to New Zealand, I thought I'd buy a decent pillow, so I bought a Sea to Summit luxury Aeros pillow, whatever it was called. It was about £60 back home, a real bloody flash pillow, and that lasted maybe 2 months, and then it started leaking around the seal, so bugger that. So I bought this Kathmandu one, and it's been going strong for about 6 months now. It was about 40 New Zealand dollars. Danny's got a Nordisk pillow, which was cheaper than my Sea to Summit, and that has lasted 2 years now. She had that actually back home, and that's fantastic, that pillow. I'll link that in the description as well. But I haven't had any issues with this Kathmandu pillow yet. It's been great. Ugh. I've got my Sea to Summit. This is the Reactor Extreme Sleeping Bag Liner. This was 55 UK pounds, and it's meant to give you plus 6 degrees on your sleeping bag. I don't think it works that good. I'm too scared to sleep without it though when it's really cold though, so I'm not sure exactly how much of a difference it makes. I'm sure it'll make some difference. I'll not put that in just yet. I'll wait and see how cold it gets later on. This is the Berger House Intrepid 1000. This is my summer sleeping bag. This is rated to 5 degrees. We paid 85 UK pounds for these from, I think, Go Outdoors. This is quite a good sleeping bag for the summer. It weighs about 1 kg though. It's obviously no use for winter. But this is my winter sleeping bag. This is the Mountain Warehouse Summit 300. Now this is rated, comfort rating of -2 to +4. I found anything around about 0 and I get really cold in this. It's not a great sleeping bag. It weighs about 1.8 kg, so it's really heavy as well. So in the winter, what I need to do is put my summer sleeping bag inside this sleeping bag. So I've got almost 3 kg in sleeping gear in the winter, plus my liner if I put that in as well. This is my big downfall in packing, because this takes up the whole right hand side pannier, 35 litre pannier. This is one thing I'm definitely going to change this year. I've actually got one ordered, a new sleeping system that's around about 800 grams, and it's good to -12. So I'll show you that. I'll do a video on it when it comes. But this is, well, I've had this for about 2-3 years now, and I'm just going to make do with it just now. But I mean, if you're on a budget, like I said, I've had that 3 years, you can't really go wrong. It's just around about freezing. I'm a cold sleeper, around about freezing, you do get cold. I just put my summer sleeping bag inside it, and then my liner if need be also, and I'll be all right at that. Danny's got the exact same setup as well. So that pretty much sums up my right hand pannier. I also carry my Torpedo 7 camp chair in here, which is I've got set up already. That fits in this panel at the back here. If you didn't want a camp chair in there, you could also put back here will hold another 2 1.5 litre bottles of water. So depending on how you want to set up, you can do that. Right, I'll go and grab my left hand pannier and I'll show you what's in that. In the back here I carry my tripod. It fits in that panel at the back here, which I'm filming on just now. And in the front here I've got this army pouch. Now I bought 2 of these, and when you see our trip to the South Island I had one on each side. I've kind of changed myself a wee bit. So in here this time, this is where I carry my food. It's nice and zip. It's nice and easy access. It's not waterproof, however. So in here I've got my food for tonight and some breakfast tomorrow. I've got these fruit balls, some Uncle Ben's rice and a sausage. And I also carry these wee bottles for oil. And I've got some salt in there too. These are handy because they're easy to access and you can fit quite a lot in there. And they were cheap. I think I got these on AliExpress for like $5 for 2. So you can't go wrong at all. So in here, on the left, this is the left-hand pannier. I just carry my clothes. It's just an overnighter tonight, so I'm not carrying many clothes. I've got a pair of trousers because I'm planning on going for a hike tomorrow. Pair of gloves, balaclava. I've got my cooking gear, or part of my cooking gear. I'll show you that in a minute. What else have I got in here? A jacket and the gas for my cooker and my toothbrush. That's about it. So I've not really got a lot in here at all this time. But when we went around the South Island I had all my clothes in here. Right, so this is my, one of my cook sets. This is the Alp Kit Ali pot set. It comes with 4 pots. I only generally carry 2 at a time. Inside I've got these anti-slip mats just to stop things rattling. This is my wash kit, so I've got a washing up basin in here, some washing up liquid and a cut up sponge. I've got a wee bowl to eat out of and my main camp stove. This is the Van Gogh camp stove. I've had this probably about 5 years now. It's a cracking stove. And it uses these gas bottles here. I wouldn't recommend this Gasmate brand, this is quite crap, but in general this is pretty good. So this is my main cook setup here. I've got the big pot, fits my stove in there, the bowl goes on top, and then my wash kit in here, and the wee frying pan. You can fit 2 bowls in there, and that's the setup we used for our South Island trip. Like I said, I've had these pots for about 5 years now maybe. Really good set, and they weren't dear either. I think they were about £30–40 from Alp Kit, even if that. I generally just use the bigger of the 2 pots because I can fit my bowl in there. Right, we'll go back out to the bike and I'll show you what else I'm carrying. Right, so back on the bike I've got my Wolfman Enduro tank bag. I've had this, I bought this just not long after I bought the DR. This is a great tank bag that goes everywhere I go, the tank bag goes. Inside there I carry the camera I'm filming you on. I know I just did the camera box install where I had the camera box in the back, and that's where I carried my camera. That was for us doing the South Island tour. I've changed it slightly. I'm now carrying my camera in here. It's easier to access when I stop, and I think there's less vibration there. I'm unsure on that, but that's what I'm thinking. So anyway, that's why I'm carrying it in here now. So I carry the camera in here, and I can fit 2 GoPros in there also. It's easy access to my charging ports up on my bars there if I need to charge anything. That's about it. It's not waterproof, this tank bag, so if it does rain I get a 10-litre dry bag, just put everything in that and it fits in there. Right, so the last piece of luggage on my bike is this camera box here, which you've seen in the previous video. Well, if I'm going on a pure road tour I may put my camera in here, but majority of the time I do not put my camera in here. I've done about 5,000 Ks with this box on now and it's solid. As I said in the video, the only difference from last time is I put an anti-slip mat under there and then bolted it down through that. I also have this strap that goes over the top here, and the reason for that is I have a bike cover that sits under here. I did just take it off and it blew away, so it's in my tent now. So that's why I've got that there. I can also hook my helmet around here if I'm just nipping to the shops, secure my helmet to the bike. And I also generally have a cable lock that goes through there as well, for if I'm leaving the bike for an extended period of time, I will lock my jacket to the bike. So in here, this is what I'm carrying just now. I've got my cup and another one of these army bags. Now in this one's, I've got another cooking setup. So I'll try and open this up without dropping everything. So I've got a rubbish bag, because you always need to leave the camps the way you found them. And here I've got instant coffee, I've got tea bags, and I've got sweetener. This instant coffee is quite good, it's just Nestle's flat white, and there's also got caramel latte one in there. I'm not sure about carrying the sweetener like this, I just try to use it and it's all gone from tablets to powder with a vibration. I carry a bottle of gas, a couple of breakfast bars if I get hungry, and this is the camp stove I've also got now. So I've got 2 stoves at the moment. Depending on where I'm going, I would usually only take 1. So that just screws onto there like that, and then that goes on there like that. I like this one because it can all fit in this green bag here. In here also, I've got cutlery, so I've got a fork and knife set, I've got a wee spatula, a lighter for the stove, and a wee pair of tongs. This is instant milk for tea. I've also got down the back here, an Alpkit Corstantina thing to go around my stove to stop the wind. I've got part of a chopping board there that I've cut up. And I've also got one of these wee gauze mats. So if I'm cooking something and trying not to burn it, I would use this. This spreads the heat over the whole pot instead of having a sort of like a small direct flame. Now I quite like this setup. This generally goes wherever I go as well. In the top box, I just leave it all in there. So if I'm just popping out for a day trip, I can have a coffee at the side of the road if I want one. I quite like this setup. I think it works quite well for me at the moment. That's about it for gear on the bike. Pretty much everything I take. I've got this is my Torpedo 7 chair. It's like a Helinox knockoff. I think it was about 90 bucks something. No, I got it on special, it was around about 40, sorry. It's very comfy. It packs into the back of the pannier like I showed you. One of the shock cords is already snapped though, and that South Island tour was the first trip we used it on. So I'm not expecting it to last very long, but for the price you can't argue. I've got my tablet which I carry. I've got Netflix on here and Amazon Kindle as well, so I've got a couple of ebooks that I'm reading. That goes in my left hand pannier, usually inside a jacket. And something else I've started carrying now is a hydration pack. This is a MacPack hydration pack. It's got 2 litre bladder in there, and that was on special recently for $45. So I picked it up, and it's actually really handy. So I've got 5 litres of water with me. I don't need to carry as much of that obviously, but you're better to have too much water than not enough. And I can also increase that as well with the other pannier storage as well. Right folks, so that about wraps up my camp setup. Like I said, this is what I'm using now. I do change it around every now and again. This is slightly different than what we used on the South Island tour, but then again there was 2 of us on that trip. Generally this is what I use, and I'll put links in the description of everything that I've got. Most of it you can get on Amazon. It's generally not, it's probably mid-range gear is what I use. I am going to upgrade some of the stuff, like I said. The sleeping bags is one of the main things I need to upgrade. Because ideally, what I want is to have no bags on the back of my bike. I'll have that wee box there, but I don't want the tent on top. So if I get the sleeping bag side down, I can put my clothes in there also. And then on the left-hand side, I could put a tent set up in there. I'll probably have more room as well, hopefully. So that is the plan for this year, is to get some new gear like that. So if you've got any questions about this, or if you want to see any sort of gear review more in depth in this, then certainly post in the comments and I will try and do a video on that. So that's about it for the video folks. Thanks for watching. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.